Yeah. Welcome to the Sleevy G Show. I'm the host with your most. My name is Gomez, and tonight I have not one but two special guests. And if you're a big movie buff like me, and you love the movie National Treasure 1 and 2 and National Treasure on Disney Plus, I'm going to tell you, you're going to have to pick up this book. National Treasure Hunt: One Step Short of Crazy. I have the co-authors. That's right. Not one, but two. The co-authors of this book, Aubrey, Paris, and Emily Black. How are you, ladies? How are you tonight?
Oh my gosh, we are so excited to be with you for this conversation. Thank you for having us. I'm Aubrey.
I'm Emily. It's so great to be here.
It's a true honor. I luckily stumbled on you guys on Twitter by seeing you guys. I'm like, oh, I wonder what this is about. And I saw National Treasure, and I'm like, ooh, yes, I like. And then a couple days later, I see you guys were releasing a book. I'm like, gotta get the book, just because I'm a big buff of National Treasure. I love the movies. And plus I like Nick Cage. He was one of my favorite actors. From God knows when. I'm gonna go back to Raising Arizona in '87.
Amazing.
So I've watched a lot of Nick Cage movies throughout my 43 years of living in New Jersey. And I gotta say, it's a true honor having you ladies. We've started a great conversation throughout the time when I got the book and everything. And it's just an honor to have you ladies here on the show tonight. So I can't thank you guys enough.
We're honestly really excited to be here. Any opportunity to talk National Treasure with a fan, like that's as big a fan as we are, is an utter thrill. So I'm very stoked for this conversation.
I am if I start reciting lines in the movie, I do apologize. That's my that's me. That's how much I love the movies.
Oh my gosh, don't apologize. I do that in daily life all of the
Okay,
time.
good. So I'm not the only one. I did a show for 80 soundtrack, and I threw in a song from Ferris Bueller's Days Off, and I said, I highly recommend it. It's so choice. And my buddy's like, you gotta be kidding me. You swung that in there. Like that's how I do things, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Well, then you must have liked the subtitle for our book.
I love the One Step Short of Crazy.
Straight quote from National Treasure, man.
It is. And let me tell you, this book is what it really is one step short of craziness. Um, the fact that, even though it's a movie, it does make you think. Like, in there was another couple of movies that make you think, like Shawshank Redemption makes you think, was jail, prison like this back in the 40s and 50s? Um, Day After Tomorrow. Can a big tsunami hit New York City? Um, The Matrix. Could it exist?
Right.
Oh.
All right, so I have a fan of The Matrix with me right here with Emily.
We have personal connections to the Matrix. We as part of a class that we took that actually inspired the whole podcast book journey, Aubrey and I watched The Matrix for that
Nice.
class.
Okay, well then again, I can invite you guys for The Matrix next time too. You guys are welcome back for that if you want to discuss Matrix too. The fact that the love of the movies is the greatest thing. And what now? You guys went to college together.
Mhm,
You guys graduated,
mhm.
but the love of the movies, like I read the bios a little bit. You guys kind of met through school, through the classes, and you guys were watching National Treasure, and you're both like made a huge connection. How did that involve, like, how did that come about? That's my question.
I mean, I'll give my impression, and I'm curious to see if Emily's is the same. My impression is, Emily and I had very few things in common in college.
Mhm.
We did meet in some joint science classes because we were both science majors, although we didn't have the same science major. Um, but even when it came to like general TV shows,
Mhm.
general types of movies, like Emily's a superhero buff. I am, yeah, there you go. You guys have something in common. I am not. I'm like she's watching superhero movies. I'm watching like Pretty Little Liars on Freeform and like just could not have been more different. But then one of these days, one of us had National Treasure on TV because it's on TV all
Oh
the
yeah,
time,
when isn't it not on TV?
right? So like one of us is watching it in the room, the other one walks in and is like, "Oh my God, you like that too?" And it was a genuine shock.
Yeah, I mean that to be quite honest, that is also how I remember it happening. Yeah, I feel like it does the movies, not intentionally obviously, but do a a weirdly interesting job of kind of hitting on the things that both Aubrey and I like separately in
Mhm.
the kind of pop culture
Hmm.
that we kind of take in normally. And it puts them together in a way that makes it like work for both of us.
Totally.
And that's something that's so cool because, for me, the love of the movie is truly, you have to have a passion. And yes, I love the fact of, it's kind of funny. It's inspired by a couple of treasure hunting books just for reads. You know what I mean? I just bought a
Cool.
new one that I'm getting tomorrow. And it's, just because I love the stories that come about it. Yeah. The Knights Templar treasure, it's, you wish that could exist. But again, it makes you wonder, could it really do, can it really exist? And that's what this movie made you think.
Yes. I
And
mean, I feel like it makes you think about these sort of history redefining treasures,
mhm,
but it also makes you rethink history itself.
yeah,
I feel like, people who are actually watching the movie and listening to the dialogue and trying to put the pieces together themselves, most people go in and think like, oh, is there something on the back of the Declaration of Independence?
oh,
Or
I always
like,
wondered that now.
right? Like
I
these are like the sorts of questions that you ask yourself. Or my favorite is when people come and say, "Oh, National Treasure got it wrong. It wasn't 55 men who signed the Declaration of Independence. It was 56." And then we get to go and say, "You're right. But think about the storyline of the movie and the time periods. Actually, 55 men signed first. The
yeah,
last signatory signed way later than the others. And interestingly, we don't even know exactly when he signed."
and what's funny is that Nicolas Cage says that in the movie too, because he says 55 iron pen.
Uh-huh.
And as he rattles off, and that was where I think he was in the Charlotte.
Yes.
So he's like something iron, something clad. Yes, I remember for some reason I can memorize these movies. Don't ask why. I just love it. And he's like 55. And he's like 55. So the secret is behind the Declaration of Independence. Just the way he says it that way, you know what I mean? It's like shit, really? And then as you're watching the movie, you're going, does it exist?
Yeah, does it? And then you can dive in and learn more, right? I mean, there is writing on the back of the Declaration of Independence.
I see. I did not know that.
See? I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of Emily's favorite facts.
It
I mean
is,
that.
yeah. I mean, I think I you might correct me if I'm wrong, Aubrey, but I think I was the one that found that, or at least I, in my mind, claim that I found that of
Well,
the two
that's
of us.
awesome.
That may or may not be true. But yeah, it basically just like says like Declaration of Independence, and like it's basically so that when it's rolled up
Mhm. It shows
for
it.
transport, you can
Mhm.
tell it from like all of the other types of documents.
It's basically says exactly what Abigail says the back
Mhm.
says in the movie when she's incredulous about the whole invisible map. She says, "Nope,
Yeah,
it just says in the top corner." And that what she says is exactly right.
and it's kind of funny. I remember when they went to go visit her. As they went to the FBI and the Homeland Security and everybody you could think of, and then he goes, when Riley goes, Paul Brown goes, yeah, the Gates family name doesn't go well in Washington. And now, as you're thinking, going like, how far did these guys go? Like, as I remember in the beginning of the movie, his grandfather is knighting
Mm-hmm.
him as a as a not just a treasure hunter, but also the protector
Treasure
of
protector.
as for the secrets. So for me, that's really cool. I was like, wow, I wish I could do that. You know what I mean? I would love to do that and find these awesome clues and go into like a huge hunt like that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, for me, that would be a personally ultimate goal, which I will never have funding. And if I did ever, you two will be coming with me. Because if anything, I'd rather share with somebody who loves that stuff and not people who are freeloading.
Oh my gosh, we are honored and we accept.
Yes.
So, and yes, don't worry, we'll all split equally. I might just take a percentage a little more because it was my idea.
Your idea,
No, I'm kidding.
100%. It makes
Makes
sense.
sense.
But now you guys watched the movies, you saw 1 and 2. Now, how did the book idea come evolve? That is now the major question.
Okay, so I like to think of the National Treasure Hunt journey because we
Mhm.
did start simply as a podcast and have expanded to many a thing.
Mhm.
I like to think of the National Treasure Hunt journey as me just constantly shoving Emily out of her comfort zone.
That is
Okay.
accurate.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
Still to this
So,
day.
so the book specifically was a result of me, in one of our weekly meetings that Emily and I have for the podcast saying, okay, I have a crazy idea. Don't end the Zoom call. Hear me out. I
Okay.
feel like it's a massive missed opportunity that Disney Press never published Riley's book from the second movie.
The
Templar Treasure.
the Templar Treasure. Yeah, I couldn't think of the name.
Hmm.
Put me on the spot when you said that because I was just like, I'm trying to remember. It's Templar or something. I can't remember.
Templar Treasure and Other Myths That Are True.
Yes.
And so I was like, this would have been such an easy marketing thing that they should have done. And so I was like, I feel like maybe we could write this book. And then from there, we pondered with the idea a little bit. And then we realized, yeah, this would be a book all about conspiracy theories. We couldn't come to any massive conclusions. And
Mhm.
something about us being scientists by training, like writing about conspiracy theories, felt a little off.
Okay.
So the idea pivoted to really be this interdisciplinary deep dive into the movies, to really put into words everything that National Treasure Hunt is, which is what we feel is the analysis for why National Treasure remains so beloved and rewatchable today. It's because of the convergence of all of these factors, the history, the science, the ethics, the crafty production decisions, etc., that makes this really memorable and long-lasting piece of media. And that's what we wrote.
And I'll tell you, it was really, really probably, as I said to you in the beginning of the show, before we even signed on, I loved the book.
Thank you.
I will say this from cover to cover. I haven't been attached to a book that good in a long time.
Oh, I have chills again. Thank you so much. Okay,
And
so I wanted to ask you, since you're such a big National Treasure fan, were we able to teach you anything? Did you learn anything from the book?
I actually, there's more things that I didn't realize in the movie that you guys pointed out. And I was like, ooh, now you're making me go watch the movie again. So I would actually put the book down after reading a section. I'm like, oh, did I miss this? And I go back, I go, oh, I did. There was a couple of things, and I will say you guys did such a great job with details to the movie for the book. How you talked to, I think it was the producer of the movie, which is that had been so cool to just talk to the producer of National Treasure. I mean, that's like a goal of mine, just to talk to somebody that higher up in my little niche here, my little niche of New Jersey, because it's like it means, for me, like I said, I love entertainment.
Mhm.
I love the entertainment business. I always love to entertain people. I always love to. This is what I love. What I do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's so much fun, and seeing what you guys are doing. You have your merchandise, which is awesome. You're getting ready to do something really big this weekend. The National Treasure Hunt Tour,
Yes.
which I wish I was able to go. I really wanted to, but with wife and 2 little kids is not easy.
I believe it. Next time. There's always a next
Oh,
time.
there will be a next time, and trust me, I will be there front and center and I will definitely, you'll know it's me because I'll be the only big guy, probably the real big guy wearing the logo of his own show, probably in Pennsylvania.
I love that.
But the fact that how much details you guys brought in, it was amazing because I remember, I don't know if it was in the Twitter world. I know I was talking to one. I wasn't sure if I was talking to Aubrey or Emily.
It was me.
And okay, I see. I didn't know. That's why I should have asked. Which one am I talking to? I should have asked that question. I never did. But just the response back was so great. Um, and I said, hey, and if nobody has picked up the book yet, please do. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it on also tuckerdspress.com. That's where I actually ordered my book from him.
Thank you. We love supporting our independent publisher.
So
Absolutely.
I did support him on that note. And I got it within actually the day of the release. It was like a day or two later, actually, I got it.
Ooh.
So I got it pretty quickly. And I'm reading the book, and we talked about this before the show. And then I wrote, is it just me, or did you guys put something secret in the book? And you were like, you are a treasure protector. And for me, that was huge because, that gave me chills
Aw.
hearing that, because the fact how much I love the movie,
Mm-hmm.
the fact how detail oriented you guys were from the beginning of part one to the end of part one, to National Treasure one, I shouldn't say part one. And then the details of National Treasure 2 from beginning to end, which we will get to soon. I still like to talk about National Treasure 1 too, because there's so much details in that you guys did perfectly, from the secrets of the secret of Charlotte
Mm-hmm.
to the Declaration of Independence, knowing there's something in the back, there's a possibly something in the back of the Declaration of Independence in reality.
Mm-hmm.
Going to New York City and jumping off the Intrepid. I don't know if you guys would do that. I know I wouldn't. I'm more afraid that I might come out with a third arm from the Hudson.
I mean, that's fair, though we did learn recently that apparently a few weeks or months prior to the filming of the first National Treasure movie, a stunt person actually died making that jump off the Intrepid.
That would, and to be honest with you, because now I live 45 minutes, like 40 minutes away from the city.
Mm-hmm.
I used to live 15 minutes away from the city. So I used to go to the city a lot when I was younger as a kid. And when I step up to the Trevor and I look down, I have one little fear: heights. So when I look down, I'm like, oh God. Like I got to be in the center of the aircraft carrier.
Well, all that math or all the numbers you read in that chapter about the Intrepid was the good work of Emily over here. She tried to figure out the actual math and the science of that jump.
Which again was amazing what you did to figure out.
So unfortunately, due to the way that it was filmed, and this is to say nothing bad about the people that filmed the movie, but I had the screen paused and I had a ruler and I was trying to measure on the screen what the height of the jump would be, and then I was trying to basically standardize that to how tall the ship actually was,
right,
and get the angle correct, and it was just there wasn't a straight
answer
shot enough for me to be able to get that info, so I ended up having to just do the math without Nick Cage included. But
I will say this, it was impressive because when you're looking at the movie, you're looking at 4 or 5 different angles. You're looking at the street angle. You're looking in the water angle. You're looking at the above angle. You're looking in the front angle. All these angles that you see in the movies, you know what I mean? How did he do that? You know what I mean? And me personally, as a guy who's afraid of heights, the only way I'm jumping off that aircraft carrier if the damn thing is going down. I ain't jumping off for fun, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or to escape from the FBI, which, again, he had to do. And I think having Sandusky, which is kind of weird. Now, I want to ask you, ladies, this now, when you saw the movie the first time and you caught his pinky ring, that was a little, like for me, he's like a treasure protector himself because of that ring. The insignia on his ring gave out something, you know what I mean? Like I remember Nicolas Cage looking at when he was originally arrested from them. He's looking at the ring, but he's also looking at the spectacles too that goes up and down. He's like, wow, wait a minute. Damn it, I missed that.
Yeah, I've always felt that he didn't really catch on to the ring. He's just really enamored by the glasses because,
Mhm.
right, if he had really noticed the ring in that moment, he should have been having an entirely different conversation with Sadusky,
Yeah,
right?
that's what I thought
That's
too.
interesting. I totally agree with your point, but I always thought that he did see the ring and
Oh, you
just like
did?
didn't use it, like wasn't playing that card.
Yeah, like he if he needed to, he would play it. Because well, anybody who's not seen National Treasure should be mm, smacked because we're definitely gonna have to spoil here a little bit.
Yeah, they're going to be mightily confused anyway, so.
So well, I know we're jumping ahead and back and ahead and back, but at the end of the movie, he kind of uses that, even though he found the Knights Templar treasure. You know what I mean? He kind of sees his ring right there because Sandusky's like this holding, and you see that ring, and he's like going on to his speech. He's like, there's millions of years of artifacts, and he goes, well, what do we do? Like he goes, look at my ring, you dope. I'm trying to help you figure out a way.
Yeah.
Like you could tell he did not. His character Ben Gates did not want to use that as a I would say like a clutch, almost like like a get out of jail free card.
Yeah, I feel like Sadusky, so it's really interesting. We have really, I feel like fairly distinct insight into Sadusky based on conversations
Mhm.
with the screenwriters from the movie because we've always found the relationship between Ben and Sadusky to be really incomprehensible,
Mhm.
right?
And
In the
Aubrey
I
does
hate him.
not like, yeah, it's
Hate him.
very strong, like I don't love him, but I don't
My whole
vehemently hate
personality,
him.
my whole personality now is hating Agent Sadusky. Like, let's be real. I've taken it
I,
too far.
I can see the anger right now. Like you're ready to knock out Sandusky over here if he was right in front of you.
I mean, okay, so the whole relationship between the two of them never made much sense, particularly when you get to the second movie. The first movie, I was always annoyed with Sadusky because it's just really clear he's awful at his job. Until you start asking yourself, is he intentionally a step behind because of the ring, right? Does he want Ben to find the treasure in reality, right? So, like, I mean, is he just so bad at his job that he loses his fugitive on the deck of a ship? Or is he not actually keeping tabs on him close enough for a reason? Now, I think in the first movie, you'd be justified in saying he's just bad at his job. But when
No,
you get to the second movie, that's when it gets particularly interesting because there's so many dynamics in the final cut of the film
mhm.
where sometimes Sadusky's being Ben's friend. Sometimes he's trying to like shoot at him at the Library of Congress.
Yes,
Like it just doesn't add up, but then you can watch all the deleted scenes. And then you can listen to our interview with the Wibberleys or the screenwriters who say, yeah, actually Sadusky was using Ben the whole time.
and that's what I felt like in the first movie actually, because when Ben stole the Declaration of Independence,
Hmm.
kidnaps Abby. Well, I wouldn't say kidnaps. Saves her, kind of kidnaps her, and then a love relationship happens between those two. Of course, it never happens to me in real life, except when I met my wife. Just like in the movies, like why doesn't this ever happen to me? And the bad guy saying that, and it's funny because we see Ben's home before when he was making his little concoction for the fingerprints, which that was really cool.
Yeah.
I will say that. And then he lives in a loft. Like it looks like a one bedroom loft, big enough to do what he needs to do, as to have a clean room to do the inspection on the Declaration of Independence. Now, when they figured out he went to his dad's, the FBI figured out he went to his dad's, and they went back, and he goes, he graduated. I forgot what school's right now, but he went here, he got his doctorate at this school, and he's a Navy dive master for salvaging. You know what I mean? He's like the best line Sadusky had goes, gee, I wonder what he wanted to be when he grew up. You know?
Yep. And
He was
turns out,
planning.
yeah, he just wanted to be the best treasure protector he could.
And I think that's where I noticed something is Sandusky going, I wonder what he wanted. The way he said it, though, you know, he doesn't say like he's an agent, like he would be.
But I'll counterpoint.
Okay, I'll take it.
I would argue that that line is much like some of his other lines that come off almost sarcastic because they're so base.
Yes.
And it's almost like, oh, if you ran to the bathroom really quick in the middle of the movie and you came back and you just know where we're at right now. Sadusky's saying like, who's shooting at who and why didn't they get along? You know, those sorts of lines.
I love those lines though. I actually love those dumb one-liners. Listen, it would have been better on Nicolas Cage voice if we saw that. But the way he said, he goes, gee, I wonder who is not getting along. Who's shooting at who? You know what I mean? That
Aubrey hates those lines so much.
All right.
So for those
somebody's got to go to prison, Ben.
I am just sitting here like cracking up
I can see it
because Aubrey hates it so much when Sadusky says all that.
I can only imagine. As Emily's getting a really great laugh in the background, I can still see her looking at her. She's cracking up. But no, I get your point too. I'm not saying it, but think about if it was, imagine Nick Cage was Sadusky and he said it. It'd be like, oh,
I'd buy it from him.
I'd buy it from it. Yeah, I'd buy that for $1 too. But no, it's true. He does have some cheesy one-liners. I will agree. For me, as a person who loves comedy and loves serious movies, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
In this movie of National Treasure, you needed the sucker to be the punchline. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, Sadusky was that sucker.
It's true. But you know how you could do comedy really well in a movie like this? You put in Riley Poole.
Right. Well, they did. Well, he had some great one-liners too. You know, observe the preservation room. Do you know what that is? Is that for jams and
delicious jams and jellies?
Yeah. His one-liners like that too. He had a lot in number 2 in National Treasure 2, which we're going to jump in a minute here. But out of the characters, okay, right, I'm not going to say which character you dislike because we already know that. What was, if you had to pick a character from National Treasure 1, who would you pick, Aubrey, and who would you pick, Emily? I would like to know that.
Like who to play?
What part would you play?
Riley.
Ben.
I am Riley.
Okay, you guys took my out. I am not being Abby here.
But like, I am Riley and Aubrey is Ben.
Like, I believe that. I can actually believe that.
And then we're both like slightly Abigail, but like primarily, yeah.
Okay, I can see that. I'll just lean to in between both. I am not being Abby in this one.
I mean, that's fair.
And I'm not being Ian because he was the bad guy. I'm not being the bad guy either.
Also fair, although he was a bad guy. I would say excellent villain.
Oh, he was a very good villain. Like, one thing I liked about him is that he didn't play like a dumb villain. He actually played like he hung out with Ben a lot. He learned a lot from Ben, not just in knowing about the treasure, but how to figure things out.
Yeah, his henchmen were the ones that were like kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Why is it capitalized?
Yes, that's one of them. Why can't I ever get the girl?
Yeah, why does that never happen to me?
Or just so it's your girlfriend. You know, it's like, okay, they get the dumb one-liners. That was deserved. But Ian Howe was a great villain. Yeah. Reason why. A, he had the money. He had unlimited funds to everything. He had the technology to follow Ben anywhere he could. And he was kind of smart, because if you think about it, when they went to go find the silence I can't even say it today. Silence good dude letters. Yes, the letter. I'll just go with the letters. I can't say it correctly. I'm like tongue tied tonight.
Okay.
The letter, yeah, the letters. And Riley sends the kid to go get the numbers because there's the numbers for the paragraph to the page, the paragraph to the letter that you need.
Mhm.
And you're reading it and you're like, wow, bow, and you're like, really? Come on. It doesn't take a genius of what that means if if you like history and
Mhm.
you're in the city of brotherly love, in Philadelphia. It's it's stout. And then he realizes it. He's like, oh, then there was one scene it's like, damn, he wouldn't do that. Like, I don't remember if that was in the Pennsylvania scene. Like, he was thinking, he goes, no, wait a minute. Or it was in Independence Hall, I think.
So you might be thinking of when Ian is in the Liberty Bell
Oh,
Center.
the Liberty Bell Center. That's it.
And
Okay.
he's
Yes.
like, I'm so stupid. This is not where I should be. I should be up there,
Yes.
pointing to the
That's
bell
out. Yes.
tower.
Like he realized it. You know what I mean? And and Ben's knowledge of history. It's like, oh, the Liberty Bell fell to. I'm just gonna throw a number. So don't, guys, please don't massacre me when I give a wrong date. He said
I do it all the time.
Liberty Bell fell in 1864. They replaced it with a Centennial Bell at 1887, something like that. You know what I mean? Again, please, people, don't crucify me. I know my numbers are off, but it's just his knowledge of the history of National Treasure is
Totally. I mean,
is
I I feel like this is one of the biggest differences, and maybe this is a good transition to the National Treasure too, because the quality of the villain between the two movies,
Oh
I
my gosh, downhill.
downhill. I mean, part of it's really interesting because Ian, we are not led to believe that he has any formal training in history,
Right.
no, he doesn't.
yet he is actually solving all the clues himself. He's just solving them a little slower than Ben. But when
And
you, oh, go ahead, Em.
I was gonna say technically, like, and we talk about this a lot on our podcast and in the book, but technically Mitch has a better reason for wanting to like find the
And
treasure, quote unquote.
Mitch
And
is the villain in the second movie for the
oh
uninitiated.
yes, sorry.
Yes, so yes,
Yes.
in case the second one,
My
another
bad.
national.
I assume everyone's on our level.
Mm,
Um,
not like us three here. I mean, this has been an awesome. Like, you got to understand. Like, I got the hairs in my arm standing because this has been a truly fun, awesome like show. So I'm enjoying this. But
but yeah,
anyway,
so like he has like legitimate reasons, and they like, the movie does a very good job of like trying to set that up for you,
Mhm.
especially in contrasting it to, Ben's motivations, because both characters, Mitch and Ben, are motivated by like family related stuff.
Yes,
And Ian just has the typical like villain, like, I want the thing, like, I want
yeah,
the money. And I feel like, especially me being a superhero person, like, there is nothing I despise more than a villain that is just like stereotypical, like, I just want to do
whatever.
evil.
Hmm.
Like, I need there to be some reason. But oddly, Ian, like, he had enough of a reason that it worked for me, even though Mitch, technically, I feel like they wanted to make that work more.
I swear to you, it's because Ian tries. Mitch actually, the writers go out of the way to give Mitch a historical educational background. He
He
has
does.
degrees in history, yet he doesn't use it. He is following Ben around the whole time. He uses brute force
Yeah, he
and
does.
just follows him instead of trying to solve anything.
So now that we just transitioned into National Treasure 2, Book of Secrets, by the way, guys, just in case if you're curious of the name of the movie, that comes out. We're all excited because part one left the cliffhanger. You know what I mean? Like, he gets, we'll just end it. He got 1% of the treasure's money. Ben's still sour about it as he's driving his Ferrari F40.
Oh, Riley,
O'Reilly,
yeah.
yeah, he's driving his Ferrari, which is stick shift and he can't even drive it. And we go into number two.
Yeah.
He writes the book, The Templar Treasure, and other conspiracy theories, which we'll talk a little bit closer to that part, which I always wanted to know what was on page 52 or 40. Was it 42 or
47.
47? I don't know why 52. Oh, probably something in this book. I can't remember now. Page 47 in the president's secret book. But we'll talk about that when we get to that. But he writes the book. He gets his Ferrari towed because of back taxes, which I don't know how bad that is. How do you miss that is another question. But he doesn't do very well selling his book. He's like, oh, are you the one who found it? Yes, I am. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you're gonna have to sell your book. You're gonna have to lie a little bit. Just say you're a co-founder. Just say you found it yourself.
Oh yeah, we tell everyone at this point that we wrote National Treasure. No, we don't. I'm just kidding.
I would have said the same thing. I would
Took
actually
the
believe
Riley
it.
approach.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I would agree with you guys 100% because you guys, the way you two talk about it passionately and knowing it, I would have said you guys were probably the screenwriters.
Well, do you know that the screenwriters now ask us questions about it because they don't remember stuff? So they DM us questions all the time.
Yeah, but that's so cool though that you get to talk to
Yeah, for sure.
the
We're very
screenwriters.
lucky.
That's like for me talking to like I said, three awesome celebrities here in New Jersey. Hanging out and talking to them and all that stuff. So for you guys, I get goosebumps hearing that now. That you guys talk to the screenwriters and they ask you, hey, do you remember this scene? And that's kind of cool. So for a standpoint that you're actually talking to the screenwriters who now probably work for Disney because of the show, I'm jealous. Let's just say I'm a little jealous. I'll
I
say
mean,
that.
they're wonderful people, and that's a whole other serendipitous story of how we got in touch with all these people. But yes, they are. I mean, this is part of probably the end of the conversation, so lead us in later. But
Yeah,
like, there's a future to this franchise as well, and so we've been talking to them about that too.
yeah, and that's something I want to talk about is number 3, and that we'll get to that. We're in the part where Mitch interrupts Ben and his dad giving a history lesson at school about the Gates family history of John Wilkes Booth and who really killed Abraham Lincoln that night and what was said. And there's Mitch sitting all the way in the top in the dark area. And I'm like, why the hell is he there? And he goes, yeah, I had a great great granddaddy who told the same story. I'm like, well, no, you didn't. But okay, continue. Like you were kind of now intrigued, you know what I mean? Like how this happens. The question is, how the hell does he get this piece of the Booth diary, of this diary, for so long, kept it preserved? He looked like the kid that would actually burn it himself, not keep it preserved. I just did not. There's some things in this and part 2. As much as I love part 2 as I do love 1 more, part 2, there's some things I wish they wrote a little bit better. And Mitch's
That's
character, Mitch's
what
character,
I'm here for. I can help you fill in the blanks.
I love it. And Mitch's character, I hate to say the word, he's like the moron. He's the brute moron.
I mean, it's true. I mean, he once again has all the resources at his disposal that Ian had, but he also has at his disposal the historical knowledge and he just chooses not to use it. Like his history is in black market antiquities,
Mhm.
a mercenary running like a mercenary company. His henchmen are actually his brothers, something that the movie leaves out.
Yeah, I was about to say that was in the book.
Yeah.
That's the
Yep.
thing. I didn't know that either. I'm like, and then when you're looking carefully, you're like, oh yeah, they do look all kind of alike, bald headed and ugly.
Yeah. Well, so there's so much from the second movie that you're accurately pointing out that doesn't make it into the movie. There's so many holes. And
Mm.
so we had to do a lot of digging for the book to kind of fill in those blanks as much as possible. So we got our hands on the final filming script. We got our hands on the really old 2007 Disney Press novelization. We talked to the writers. So if there's a question about the second movie that can be answered, we're probably your best bet to be able to answer it, not to like boast at all.
No, but for me to say, yeah, that's pretty goddamn cool
Yeah,
that
so
you
like
got all that info, though.
for example, you asked like how did Mitch get this page?
All right.
I can tell you. So it turns out in the lore of the original like full-length story for this movie,
Mm-hmm.
um basically this page had been a relic that was a really prized possession of the Freemasons.
Okay.
And a high-ranking Freemason who we actually meet in the movie, but we lose all context for him, Dr. Nichols.
Yes.
So Dr. Nichols is a high-ranking Freemason who knows which Freemason has the page. Nichols tells Mitch, Mitch kills the guy, steals the page, and
Oh.
Nichols was actually working with Mitch the whole time.
Oh, wow. That's whole. Excuse my language. I say, holy shit, plot twister.
Right.
I wish that made the movie.
Right.
Yeah, there was like I think we like figured it out. It probably would have been like an additional Aubrey, I think you know the exact number. Was it 30 or 45?
They cut 45 minutes of additional screen time from the movie.
And we were talking about it and we were kind of like, I feel like movies nowadays are very long.
2 to 3 hours.
And I feel like people like it's not like they cut stuff that wasn't important.
No,
Like
but
they cut stuff that was pretty crucial to like the plot, so I think people would have watched it.
I would have loved, I mean, for you to say that you got the original screen book, playbook, as I call it, because I'm an ex-football player, so I always call everything a playbook.
I love that.
So to get that, to talk to the original writers of part two, to finally now understanding a little bit that Nichols was working with Mitch Wilkinson, as we all know him, or I call him Wilk. Um, um, you know, I I want to say I was wondering because in the movie when Doctor goes, oh, bring that page down, let's take a look at it, and then when they were doing their little experiment, like it's a perfect match.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, how is it a perfect match when you had a piece of plastic cover over it? Yes, the lines look decent, but you had to take it out to really compare it to the book, which I thought that was a little BS again.
For sure. I mean, there you have to understand that this second movie, when the first movie came out, they weren't planning to make a second movie.
No, they were not.
And it got greenlit so quickly, the second film, that they were literally still writing pages of script the night before they were filming it. Now, add that to the fact that these movies don't film scenes in order.
No, they don't.
So you're not only filming out of order with an unfinished script, but
Mm-hmm.
that script itself is inherently a treasure hunt where everything has to fit together. So there are so many scenes where they filmed multiple versions or extra content and it just got cut.
I think, not for nothing, there's movies that part twos have taken years.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them have taken 20 years, like Dodgeball 2 was being finally made. That's 20 some odd years later.
Mm-hmm.
T2, you went from Terminator to Terminator 2. You think how long? That was almost 10 years that it was finally, or say 8 to 10 years between the movie lines.
Mm-hmm.
That script took almost 6 years to write. And think about it, the CGI from 1986 to 1992, 94 at that time it was incredible because of the liquid. You made a man look like a liquid man. You know what I mean? I could have wished they waited a year. Wait a year to write the script correctly. If you feel that the script was rushed, it should have been like, listen, we need more time. I know that we got to strike when the iron's hot, but also you have to think about this. Part two is an all-star cast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you have Nicolas Cage, A-list actor. You have Ed Harris playing the villain, A-list actor. You have two A-list actors. You have to genuinely capture their moments in the film. And like you said, now as I'm hearing that part that Nichols was working with Wilkinson, and that should have made the cut, because I'll tell you, that's a big, huge of information that people don't realize.
Absolutely. And if we can point you, there's one teeny tiny remnant of that in the
Mhm.
movie that once we point it out to you, you're going to see it now. And it's the very end of that piece of the storyline where it turns out that, again, from the original story, once Nichols starts seeing how dangerous and violent Mitch and them are, he basically says, I want out.
Yeah.
And so Mitch kills him. This
Oh,
is the remnant that exists in the movie. There's the moment when Ben has just kidnapped the president in the second movie,
yes.
and Agent Sadusky gets the phone call, and he says, I'm sorry, the kidnap's
Sorry.
been what? The president's been what? Gates. And that scene, if you look behind Sadusky, he's at a crime scene. That's Nichols' murder scene.
Oh, shoot. I didn't, you know what? You're gonna make me go watch it again.
Do.
And I am gonna watch it again, because that's an important detail. Again, part of that should have been part of the movie.
For sure, but they can get away with getting rid of it because you can just look at that as, oh, Sadusky's just on his job. Like, this is just a crime scene, and like this
Yeah.
is when he gets the call, right? Like, so that's how, when they feel like they have to make the tough decisions of where to cut, they can get away with that.
Yeah, I know, but still, that's now knowing that the beginning of the movie, Wilkinson and Nichols were working together, and then to getting that vile piece of information, you kill off Nichols, and that's right when Gates steals the president's, it was, wow, I never thought about that until you just got me thinking more now. Thanks.
Yay. You're welcome.
We might have to do a part 2 of this show just alone, just for this, because there's so much. Again, there's so much cool. Again, not just cool things, but things you realize that's history.
Mhm.
They go to England to discover. Well, first of all, we didn't even tell them what they were looking for. So they're finding a artifact called Cibola, which is a city of gold that's in the United States of America. Go figure that one out. Why don't you go to the highest Himalayas and try to find gold? Is hard enough, but to go to England to find the resolute desk. There we go. I'm trying to say it correctly, not messing it up,
Mhm.
because fans like myself hate when people say something wrong. And they're trying to find the missing piece of this information, which turns out to be a old. Help me out when I can't remember the name of the language.
The Olmec plank.
The Olmec plank. Thank you. I didn't want to. That's why I said, please help me out here a little bit. I didn't want to say it wrong. And the one person that knows that the symbols, what it means, is his mother. So now you're gonna meet the whole family Gates.
Oh, Emily, you're muted. Were you saying something?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, sorry. I was gonna say Dr. Helen Mirren,
As we
as
yes.
we like to refer to her.
Anyway, I call her Mama Gates when I'm seeing the movie. um, she's now a part of this because, again, she married Ben's father. She teaches Ben a lot of cool stuff too. So does his father, and so does his grandfather. Um, the fact that they're looking for what's called the City of Gold, Cibola, is an amazing thing. And the fact that you go to England, you get the plank. Oh boy, I hope we didn't lose Emily.
No, she's there.
Okay. I just want to make sure. The fact that they did this and they go to England, which is pretty cool. You know what I mean? Again, it is the movies. It's hard to say, like, did they really go into Buckingham Palace, really raid the Queen's house? You know what I mean? Um, but some of those scenes are hilarious because
Hmm.
Nicolas Cage, I thought, was hilarious in that whole scene. Um, Acting like he's English, like, hello, oh, why don't you throw this and do that? And then, he just to make Abby feel uncomfortable. And
I mean, he has this whole grand plan, right? Where
yeah,
he like Riley tells him the only way to get to the Queen's study is through the security suite. So he has to be sent to the in-house jail, basically.
yes. And he does a great job. And
Yeah.
the fact that I love the fact that Riley's using the toilet as a cover to do all this little computering, in the bathroom to break Nick and Abby out, or I'm sorry, Ben and Abby out, to get them into where they have to go, and finding this piece that's actually, and if I remember correctly, was not there. It was like gone.
No, it was there.
Oh,
The
it
one
was, oh
the
no,
one
that
that
was
was gone is the other
the
one.
other
Yeah.
one. Okay, I'm sorry. This is where I forget. You're right. This is, as a movie buff, I do forget.
But there's a reason that you forget. The reason is because the clues in the second movie aren't linear.
Right.
One doesn't lead to the next. You could find them in almost any order, and that makes it inherently more difficult to follow.
So now they're back. They get the clue. They take a picture, uh, and Wilkerson does find Ben in England. How does he do it? He knocks out his dad, plants a burner. Well, no, he copies Ben's dad's phone, finds out where he is. He goes over to England, follows him. Beautiful car chase, by the way. I love that. And
Emily has thoughts on that.
okay, Emily, let me hear it. Come on.
I hate car chase
Do you really?
scenes. Yeah, it's really weird for me being a superhero movie like connoisseur. Action scenes in general, I just don't like.
Okay.
Um,
I think
I can
that makes
respect that.
sense.
it makes no sense.
I
But
can
car
respect
chases
that.
especially, like, I just don't. I hate, like, the way Aubrey hates Agent Sadusky is the way that I hate car
Okay.
chase scenes.
Oh, the only part I didn't like, it was like, here, go chase the plank, and he throws it out the window. You know what I mean? That's something that kind of bothers me a little bit. Like, really? You're gonna stop in the middle of the road, jump off the bridge, and you're like, hey, I got it.
Again, those villains though, like it's so true to character though, right? That they would jump in and be like, here it
Hey,
is.
I got it. It's like, that's the best way I can do it. Like how my son got it. And
Exactly.
then they go back. They go back to the United States to find the other part where it's missing, and they steal the president. Well, Ben steals the president, and they go to the Library of Congress.
Mhm.
And Riley Poole, we don't talk enough about him because we should, because he is a good part of both movies. And the fact that he wrote the Templar's Treasure book, but we also forgot to tell everyone that he wrote about conspiracy theories too. And one of them is the Book of Secrets, which this is the name of the movie.
Mhm.
And they go to the Library of Congress, and the president tells them the code to get the book and where to find it. And he goes, don't forget to look at page something to see if that's even plausible,
Mhm.
which we're going to be getting to that actually very shortly.
Mhm.
So it goes to page 47, sees what he needs, pretty much like tries to memorize everything off the Book of Secrets, and to do what he has to do. And where does that lead him? Mount Rushmore. Now, I found that to be kind of cool because if you've never been to Mount Rushmore, it's actually really nice to see in the movie.
Mhm.
Our four founding fathers, our presidents, and everything like that. It's a great. I've never been, but it looked. I've seen pictures. I've seen people who've talked about it. It just looks like a true, beautiful park. Everything about it. But the funny thing is, like, now you're looking for this sign of the eagle,
Mhm.
and I don't know how they decided. Oh, pour water on the rock and see if you can find it. Which that was a little bit.
Is that one of the things that bugs you? It's like, oh, of all of the granite boulders around Sylvan Lake, you just happen to dump your water on the right one. That's
Yep, of
something else that the original script explains. So there's a whole clue cut out of the Mount Rushmore
course
sequence
there was.
where basically they had to go up to Cougar's Point,
Okay.
which is, a particular rock, look down, and there was another clue that basically was shaped like a particular thing, and
Right.
that's the rock that they go down to. So again, like people who watch the movie once, you're never going to notice what's wrong with the movie. But when you watch the movie 5, 7, multiple, like tens of times, you're going to start picking out these things where it's like, okay, something was clearly cut out here. And we can confirm, yes, Mount Rushmore, they filmed so much more there than they
Yeah.
actually used.
And that I would believe, because you could tell, again, if you're like a huge movie buff like I am,
Mhm.
and I'm kind of a pretty bad critiquer when it comes to like, hey, they cut that crap out. I could tell. Like you could see there's some like I could certainly sit in a movie going, oh wow, they cut something out that was really important right here, and they're trying to dub it through. And you're right. You could tell there was a lot more into that scene. I mean,
Mhm.
my favorite part is when Ben goes, all right, I guess I'll stick my hand in there, and he just goes, ah, everyone's kind of like, that's not funny. I thought it was, because it's a tension releaser,
That's true.
you know. So they
Yeah.
open up this pathway of a secret passage now, which is now leading to the City of Gold, Cibola.
Mhm.
Now, of course, it is never easy, just like in the first movie. Nothing seems to be easy to find something. And I remember an old 1980s game, it was called, if I remember correctly, it was Top It. It's like you're putting pieces, so you're not, if you go from one angle to another angle, you have to keep it.
Topple.
Topple, that's it,
I
topple.
loved that game.
And that's where I figured they got that from, that scene where they're on the plank where they had to jump up to this little rock space. You know what I mean? Like this, like a game of Topple almost.
Emily also has strong feelings about this.
The tilt platform, I don't like it. I am stressed normally. Like, I am a very anxious person.
Okay,
And no matter how many times I see that scene, I am always concerned
I
that
get it.
someone's not gonna make it.
Even though we've seen it hundreds of thousands of times.
Yeah, like, and I like, I literally can say, like, we've written the book on it, and I still, it it seems like needless stress, but I understand why it's there.
So they get through the wonderful maze of stuff, and uh the wonderful famous mother goes, too much damn tequila, still complaining about her, her marriage to Ben's dad. It's kind of funny. I always refer back to, she drank way too much tequila. I want to know what they were doing. Um and they find the City of Gold. But there's a problem. There's a big waterfall or big river in this whole thing, you know what I mean? And they're trying to figure out how to escape. The water escapes. Now, here's another little thing that kind of annoyed me. Let me crumble up $1 and let me throw it in, and let me see where the water goes.
That bothered you?
A little bit.
I mean, that's fair. We see that as a nice way of tying money back in, US currency as a symbol, which recurs throughout the franchise.
Yep.
It does feel a little more forced in this context in this movie, but it's there.
Yeah, it just felt like, you're right. It felt forced, because here, let me just crumble up $1. And I get what you're saying on that. You know what I mean? But for me to drop $1 to see where it goes, it's like, well, why don't I just throw my wife over the throw her over, and let's see where she goes, because that'll at least direct me better. So, they shut the water, and Wilkerson finds them, and there's a big thing now. The dam breaks, and now they're in this pinnacle swing scene now. Is trying to escape without getting killed.
Mhm.
They do the turning the wheel to get the water out, and then trying to release Riley, Abby, the parents, Ben, and Wilkerson. So now here's the pivotal scene. I was thinking that Wilkerson was going to escape on Ben, to be honest with you. When at first I saw this movie,
Hmm.
I thought he was leaving Ben to die.
He was going to. That was the point.
That was the point, but I really thought he was going to do it until the thing broke.
Hmm.
And then they're both stuck there, and he's really then holding it, and he's trying to get him out, because for some reason Ben's trying to be the hero too. Not trying to be the hero, but try to save the guy's life, because he kind of helped find Cibola too, you know what I mean, in ways of pushing Ben to finding these clues a lot quicker.
Yeah, I mean, I think mostly what happens here is something that Emily and I still have some issues with, right? It's this idea that up until literally seconds before Mitch ultimately makes the decision to stay behind
Mhm.
and drown so that the others could survive, moments prior, Mitch is still threatening everyone's life. It's like the swiftest turn that still doesn't make a lot of sense to us. The only way that
Mhm.
we were able to try rationalizing it was like, okay, what does Mitch really want? He wants credit. He could get that credit with or without destroying this family.
Yeah.
And
And he got
yeah.
it.
Yeah, he got it because Ben is a noble person who will keep to his word.
Yeah, he said, "Oh, you found the treasure." Is like, yes, we found it, and credit to to the Gates family and Mitch Wilkinson.
We love having this whole conversation because of the ethical implications of the president at the end saying, he says, the credit will go to the Gates family and to Abigail and to Riley, and Ben says, and Mitch Wilkinson, sir, and the president says, is that right? And Ben says, it's true.
Yeah.
And so the differentiation between it's right and it's true is a conversation that we would invite others who are interested in that kind of ethical discussion to either read the book or visit our podcast because we talk about those sorts of things in
Yeah,
depth.
and that's something that you could talk about hours
Oh, for sure.
because
We
it's
have.
Yeah.
I no, and I believe it. I've caught a couple of the shows, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny, discussing this. And the funny thing is that, they go back into Sebula and they're marking everything down, and he I don't know, Ben's father said, "Oh, you should have saw her in somewhere," and she's trying to make sure everything is being cataloged correctly, you know what I mean? And she's like, "Oh no, if you think this was bad, think about it when we went to go pick out our first couch. That
Mm-hmm.
was it." and, and then the cliffhanger at the end of the movie when President goes, "Hey, did you look at page 47 for me? What do you think?" "Yes, sir." Life altering. And the movie kind of ends right there. So here we are, 2023.
Yes.
I
Life altering.
Yes. Now, the only thing I could think of with life altering can mean numerous of things. Could it be the Kennedy assassination? Could it be Area 51? Could it be the moon landing? It could be anything. It could alter history
Mm-hmm.
as we know it. Now, we know this is a movie, but imagine if there was such a thing as the Book of Secrets that these presidents have. And there could be, for all we know. Is it going to be in the Library of Congress? Probably not. It'll be probably somewhere in the White House in a locked box somewhere that it gets passed from president to president.
Yeah, we have it on good authority that it's not in the Library of Congress.
Yeah.
They've told us that themselves, and they also tell people who apparently call quite frequently,
Asking about it.
asking about it, that as well.
Well, I kind of use common sense on that one that you're not really going to find in the Library of Congress. And if you do, I want to know about it. But the fact that he leaves it like that, now it's been a long time since the movie has not been made. There's always been, 2 or 3 years later after the movie, there's always been talked about National Treasure 3.
Mm-hmm.
I've been waiting for it for such a long time, and I still am waiting for it. Now, Disney Plus came out with the new National Treasure show.
Mm-hmm.
Completely different cast.
Mm-hmm.
The Gates family gets mentioned in the show though. But it's not. I like I said, I tried watching the first episode. I don't know, it's just because I don't know if it's because Nick Cage is not in this movie. You don't have Riley Poole, you don't have Abigail Chase, you don't have the original treasure hunters in this. Call me old fashioned or call me a really big movie lover. That it just doesn't. It's a great. It looks great. Don't get me wrong. But I just feel like it's missing that pizzazz now, leading to I hope one day that the writers decide to do National Treasure 3. Yes, Nicolas Cage is a little bit older. Yes, so is Riley Poole. Yes, so is Abigail Chase. But I think they can still do a good film together for 3 because I really want to know what this life-altering change can be.
I mean, then we're really happy to report to you, Gomez, that National Treasure 3 is happening. Um, we
Sorry.
literally interviewed director John Turteltaub not a few months ago at this point.
Okay, see the shock in the face? That's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, he was delightful. Please go check out that episode. It is one for the books.
I will.
Um, he confirmed that, yeah, I mean, the script is not only in development, it's at a fairly advanced stage of development. We have heard from others that actually a new screenwriter has been attached very recently, although it has not been made public yet.
Mhm.
But for that reason, there is reason to suspect that a really finalized version could be very in our near future. You know, I people ask me all the time, like, when do you think this movie's coming? And based on only conjecture and my own like reading of the tea
Mhm.
leaves, I say the earliest you're going to see it would be like Christmas 2024. 2025 is probably a little closer at this point since we're already midway through 2023. That is
Yeah.
not the word of Disney. That is the word of me, Aubrey, reading the National Treasure tea leaves.
Be honest with you, if hearing hearing this firsthand myself,
hmm
for me, I would not be surprised if it comes out summer 2025 because you gotta first of all, if they put in somebody new for the screenwrite, something had to be changed alternately, big time for a character because you just don't bring somebody to almost when it's almost done.
I think you also have to think about the schedules of the other people involved. The last
Yes.
person to be attached to this script was Bremer, the
Okay.
guy that writes for the Bad Boys franchise.
Which is
And
a hell of a franchise because they just wrapped up, I think, Bad Boys 4.
yeah, so that's exactly, he was the last person attached to the script about a year ago at this point.
Mm.
Now, his other projects are ongoing and continuing. So, could part of it be that he is busy?
Yeah,
You know,
could be.
and so the people that they're attaching, what makes me a little bit happier. Bremer was not affiliated with the first 2 movies. Now he works closely with Jerry Bruckheimer, the executive producer, on many projects, but not National Treasure. So I personally, as a fan, would feel a lot more comfortable with the third script being in the
Mm.
hands of the writers of or some of the writers of the original 2 movies. And it looks like that is the direction things are leaning.
So that's great because that means that if they're doing it correctly for the third and possible final movie
hmm
for this, that it could actually tie back to the second movie, which
hmm
again has holes, but talk about the Book of Secrets. But then also it might talk something about going back to the Templar's treasure that maybe there's something missing.
That's a really interesting idea. I like that a lot.
Think about that. You know what I mean? Again, granted, first time we're actually meeting face to face, but if you think about it, hundreds and thousands of years of artifacts are under the Trinity Church in New York City. That's a lot of artifacts.
Yeah.
But what if someone took some kind of important piece of information, the scrolls from Italy, the something from France. What if there's something that we're missing?
I mean, it's so funny that you say that because if you like that kind of vibe, you're really gonna have to give the streamer show more of a chance
Mhm.
because they don't do that with the Templar treasure, they do it with Cibola. So,
Okay.
my last little knowledge bomb, for folks who haven't read the book yet, is that the original version of the script, as far as they actually filmed this scene and it just didn't make it into the movie,
Mhm.
you see Agent Sadusky's FBI men kind of um, secretly taking an artifact out of Cibola.
Oh.
And that artifact becomes the basis for the series on Disney Plus.
Okay,
Now,
now I gotta watch. Now I gotta rewatch everything and get into the series. Now you just dropped that bomb.
Yeah, I mean, right? So and
It's
I'll
like
actually I'll
mic drop.
sh I'll
It's like a
show
mic.
you.
Okay.
So this is, and you won't be able to hear it because I have my headphone on, and
No, I get you.
your listeners won't be able to see. But this, I'm gonna this is the original footage.
Oh yeah, look at
Wait,
that.
just wait. You'll see it in a second. See, they're carrying something out,
Oh yeah, look at that.
and you're gonna get a view of it right now. The president's looking at it.
What the? Oh snap!
So that was filmed and just never used in the movie.
But Riley's doing that was in the movie. Like he was trying to take a peek, and Riley it made me wonder. Okay, first of all, thank you.
You're
That was
welcome.
really cool because for me to see that is unbelievable. Now, I mean, oh God, that's so cool. Like I have the hairs on the back of my neck standing out because that's so awesome.
Oh, I'm so
Um,
glad.
ladies, I can't thank you enough. This has been a real true pleasure having you two girls. Sorry, two ladies on. I shouldn't say girls. I apologize.
Oh, that's okay.
No
I,
worries.
your passion of the movies to the book to talking to the screenwriters. I hope you guys get some input on 3. I hope they put your input in the movie. I hope you guys get invited to the screening, to Hollywood and walk the red carpet because I'll be like, wow, they were on my show. I'll get my little claim of fame on that. I
Oh, thank you so much.
I really
Yeah, thank
hope
you.
for me to have you guys on. It's been an honor. Guys, listen, pick up the book, National Treasure Hunt, one step short of crazy, because I'll tell you, they're on that point and they are truly legitly awesome. And read the book because there is some secret stuff. I'm not mentioning anything because I had to reread it and find some stuff because I kind of messed up. I'll admit to it. Um, guys, before we sign off and say goodnight to everybody, where could they find you on everywhere pretty much?
You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at NT Hunt Podcast. And we also have a website, which is nthuntpodcast.com, where we basically have links to everything. We've linked to the Tucker DS Press book page. We linked to all the different places you can listen to the podcast. And we have information about our tour, which obviously it's too late to sign up for our spring tour now, but keep an eye out for the next one that's coming up.
Awesome. Well, ladies, I thank you so much. I hope I can join you guys for a show and talk more on your side. I would love.
I would love to have you for our next Super Fans episode. Because you are certainly qualified.
Well, I appreciate it, and I would be honored to definitely come on with you guys for that. I
Awesome.
definitely would be honored, and just let me know when, and we'll set it all up. You know what I mean? Again, guys, please pick up the book if you are a fan of the movie, like I am, or as I was just told, a super fan, which I am. And I truly love the fact that I threw some ideas maybe out to back to 1 and 2 a little bit. Maybe I'll get some credit points too one day, which I
We
would
love
like.
it.
um, check out the book, National Treasure Hunt, One Step Short of Crazy. Please check them out on Twitter and Instagram. Check out their podcast too, guys. It's really actually very informal. And hopefully I will be on it one day and we'll be talking about this shortly. I cannot wait. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
All right, guys, as I usually say, make sure you hit that subscribe button on my YouTube channel. Check me out on Linktree/SleevyG79. That will connect you to everything that's me. So check it out, guys. I really appreciate you guys coming out, and thank you and good night. And I'm going to end it with love, peace, and happiness and conspiracy theories.